Good morning. If you're just joining us, you're watching The Great British Breakfast with Isabel Webster and me, Ellie Costello. Now, it's been over 4 years since the Manchester Arena bombings, which claimed the lives of 22 innocent people as well as the bomber himself. Manchester has been on a long road of recovery since, especially for the friends and family of those killed in the attacks.
Well, today sees the release of the docu-film. It's called A Manchester Story, and it focuses on the positive actions of Mancunians and people across the North West in the wake of the attack. And we're very lucky to have a short clip from the film, so let's take a look.
You knew straight away what it was, despite everybody saying, oh, it was a speaker fault or it was an electric fault. You knew what it was.
Manchester as a whole, the whole city, felt quite personally attacked.
Breaking through the news to see what had happened, and then the next day it was confirmed that it was a terrorist attack.
You think that couldn't happen, it happened, and it's indescribable. It just disassociated me.
I didn't know what it was at the time, it just all went in slow motion from when it went off.
A positive thing came out of an absolutely tragic circumstance.
I still only 17 years old. I fought one of the hardest battles I've ever seen.
Manchester's response was fantastic.
We're resilient. We've been attacked before.
We're Manchester. We aren't afraid.
Being angry isn't going to bring anybody back. It won't bring my son back.
They're really good city and the people are actually amazing and the whole world is actually behind us right now.
Even though it's haunting.
So moving and also uplifting that community spirit there. Well, joining us now is Anton Orenko, the director of that film we just saw a clip from. Anton, really beautiful looking film there. Tell us first why the idea to make this film first came to you.
Thank you. The idea to make the film stemmed out what I saw was the media, what they were missing, and that inherently was the response of the people of Manchester in the wake of the attack and the healing that was going on in Manchester, done by individuals but who brought people together. I was doing I was down at uni at the time of making it, and basically what happened was I just started researching and saw all these amazing things that people were doing, but no one was kind of talking about them. Some were being picked up by the news and other things weren't. And I just saw this correlation. I thought, you know what, maybe I could do something different and bring something different to the fore. And that's when I started getting in touch with people and people started reaching out. And amazingly, it was the people who were involved, they liked what I was kind of doing and they saw the potential in it, and that's how it kind of really started.
Do you know what, I agree with Ellie. It's such a lovely thing to see something so positive come out of something so awful, and I suppose very cathartic for the people who are involved with it as well. It's a very healing thing. Give us an example then. You described some of the things that were picked up by the media, but some things weren't. Give us an example of some of the things that didn't capture the eyes of the world's lenses in the aftermath, and share us, these amazing things.
So one of the major things in the documentary that hasn't been captured by any camera at all apart from mine is Michael Cox, who led a massive memorial ride through the streets of Manchester, a biker memorial ride. 800 bikes converged on Manchester city centre out of respect and to raise money for charity, and not a single camera or newspaper or anything picked that up, but I did. And it's just... it was a remarkable experience filming it, and it was great to capture that, and people need to know that stuff exists. And also Petra Jordan, who's in my film as well, she and her efforts to create a group to support survivors, she hasn't really been picked up by anything either. So it was great to just meet those kind of people and kind of get those first-hand accounts of what they've been through and the efforts they've made, and to really create an account of what happened.
And so often this light is lost in the horrors, isn't it? And I'm sure there's amazing things happening on the ground in Afghanistan, but unfortunately we can't see it yet. It's just awful images of people in those crowds. Let's go back to that night then in May 2017. What do you remember from that night?
I remember I was 19 at the time, and I remember turning on television and people were initially talking about speaker blowing up or some sort of major technical failure. But I had I think there was kind of a strange calm, and people kind of knew that something was just not right and something more was going on. And then, of course, it unfolded into the horrific act that happened. It stayed with me. A lot of people in the city, because I was living there at the time, I'm from Manchester originally, and when I was there at the time, when I was living there, it just there was just a whole somber feeling, and you could feel you could hear a pin drop, people knew what was going on and how horrific this was. And it forever, I think it really changed the city. But the great thing is that people, instead of being divided by it, we united and we said, we're not going to be, we're going to reject hate, and we're going to come together, and we're going to be a city. And, Manchester's been attacked before. It's not the first time. But this time, we're going to do our best as a city in the very worst of times.
Yeah, and you know what? It's something that GB News aims to do, and that is to shine a light on some good news stories, because so often it happens, doesn't it, for good reason. Another crisis happens somewhere else, and the media pack up and move on. But as you say, this is really important to remember that every day newsworthy and amazing things are happening straight after something so horrendous. And what was so shocking about this attack is that it was an Ariana Grande concert, wasn't it? It was predominantly youngsters that were there, people who didn't have opinions on Islam or Islamic extremism, and completely innocent. And it's just, it's something so positive in the wake of something so awful.
Oh, yeah. The thing is that this attack was indiscriminate. It affected so many lives of so many people all across our city and even beyond, forever changing them, unfortunately. But also, I think, like I say, the amount of positive things. So, for example, you had Figa Murray on your programme months ago. She's in the documentary, as you saw there, and her efforts have been transformative. And she's, the efforts she's leading are going to help and bring together generations to come. And also, her campaign to get Martin's Law up and running, to protect, as people are returning to those mass venues, to protect them and make sure that them and their children are safe. It's amazing what she's doing. And that's just one of these people in my film. But yeah, it's amazing, really. And it's great. So it's coming out today. It's available on Vimeo, and DVD's coming later. But yeah, it's 90 minutes, and I had to film it 7 months. It took me 7 months to film it because I had to come up from down. I was studying down south at the time. I was studying in a place called Farnham near Guildford. And I had to keep coming up to come and film, but it wasn't easy. But you know what? I knew that this film had a right to exist when I started it. It just needed to be told. It needed to be documented what happened.
Aaron, it sounds amazing. I definitely want to check it out. What do you hope people take away from the film? And by that I mean those that were involved, their stories that they shared with you, and also those of us who are just going to watch it for the first time now. What do you hope that we all take from this?
I hope just everybody sees a different perspective of what happened and the kind of things that weren't picked up, and the healing effort that was going on in the aftermath. There's not, the thing is about my film, there's not a single scrap or piece of that horrific night. And that is why it is done differently. It does it in a different way because everyone unfortunately knows the horrific actions that happened that evening. And they don't need to be repeated. We need to see what people have done, and that needs to take the fore, not the horrific events of that evening. They can't be forgotten, don't get me wrong, but fundamentally, my film is different because it doesn't show the horror of that evening. It shows what positive things people have done in the aftermath. Well, and I hope people take that away.
Thank you. Good for you. Really fantastic. Anton Arenko, really excited. This movie's called A Manchester Story. It's a docu-movie. And we really applaud you for what you've done and all your efforts during lockdown and everything else, and we're travelling up and down. Good luck with it. We hope it does really well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ali.
Amazing project. I'd really like to watch that, actually, definitely. Here's what else is going on today.